This is the HopCycle EB5 electric bike. My first thought when I rolled it out was simple. This thing looks and feels like a tank in the best way. The fat 20 by 4.0 tires, the chunky frame, and the dual suspension all scream utility. I was a little skeptical about the weight and how that would translate to real riding. But I wanted to see if the 1,000-watt peak motor and 95 Newton-meters of torque could back up the tough look with actual performance. Key features that stood out to me are the high-torque rear hub, the removable 42V 10.4 amp-hours battery, dual mechanical disc brakes, and IPX6 water protection. That combination reads like a commuter meets trail checklist. The listed top speed is 20 miles per hour, and it supports pedal assist and throttle, which means I can cruise without pedaling when I'm cooked after a hill. The battery is rated up to 60 miles per charge, but I'll explain what I actually got. Unboxing took effort because the box is heavy. Assembly was straightforward. Front wheel on, handlebar set, pedals on, tire pressure set. Aligning the front rotor between the brake pads took a little care. The basic toolkit works, but I used my own hex keys and a pedal wrench for confidence. I charged the battery fully. It went from red to green on the charger in just under 5 hours. The charger got warm, which is normal. I pumped the tires to 20 psi for pavement. For dirt and sand, I dropped closer to 15 psi to let the tires deform and grip. On the first ride, the cadence sensor ticked in after about half a pedal turn, and the motor came on with a noticeable push. If you're new to e-bikes, cadence sensors read that your pedals are turning, not how hard you're pushing. So the power feels on-off based on the assist level you choose. I learned quickly to start in a low assist and bump it up once I'm rolling. The throttle is the star here. From my experience, it delivers power immediately and cleanly. No weird lag. And it's strong enough to get me across an intersection or up a short, steep ramp without drama. The motor's torque matters on hills. Torque is the twisting force that gets you moving and keeps you moving under load. With 95 Newton meters, the EB5 climbs better than most budget e-bikes I've tried. On a neighborhood hill around 12 to 15%, I could hold 8 to 12 miles per hour with throttle and light pedaling. It won't cheat physics on super long, steep climbs, but it doesn't stall or wheeze. It just digs in and goes. The fat tires change the ride. On gravel and sand, they spread out the weight and don't dig in. On broken pavement, they act like a soft suspension, rolling over small potholes and cracks. On asphalt, they make a low, steady hum, and the bike tracks straight and feels planted. The downside is rolling resistance and weight. You'll notice that if you try to pedal with the power off. In my opinion, you'll want to treat this like a Class 2 e-bike most of the time and let the motor do what it's built to do. The dual suspension is built for comfort, not big jumps. The front fork has a preload dial, so I stiffened it a bit for city streets and softened it for trails. On curbs and potholes, the bike stays composed. On a fast, chattery gravel descent, it soaked up the buzz well, though I could tell the fork is entry-level and will bottom out if I hit something square-edged too hard. The rear shock smooths out the harsh hits and keeps the rear from kicking. Braking is done by mechanical disc brakes. They're cable-operated, so they require a firmer squeeze compared to hydraulic. After bedding in the pads with a few hard stops, they felt solid. I did hear some brakes squeal on a wet morning. Cleaning the rotors and rebedding helped. Cable stretch showed up after the first week, so I used the barrel adjusters to pull the bike point back where I like it. Stopping from 20 miles per hour takes more distance than a lightweight bike because the EB5 weighs about 76 to 77 pounds. I just ride with a little extra space and use more front brake on dry pavement for power. Range always depends on rider weight, wind, temperature, and how much throttle you use. I weigh around 185 pounds and carry a backpack. On mixed city riding with rolling hills, using pedal assist levels 2 to 3 most of the time, I got roughly 25 to 35 miles on a charge. On throttle-only beach path cruising and quick hops around town, I saw 15 to 22 miles. The 436.8 watt-hour battery is easy to remove with the key, and being able to charge it off the bike is clutch if you park in a garage. The screen shows battery bars. I wish it showed a percentage because the bars can bounce under heavy load from voltage sag, especially on hills. Comfort is good out of the box. The stock saddle is okay for 45 minutes, but for longer rides, I'd swap to something cushier or add a suspension seat post. The grips are firm. Gloves help on rough trails. The cockpit is simple. A clear LCD, rubberized buttons, and a throttle that snaps back cleanly. In bright sun, the display is readable, but it washes out at certain angles. The headlight has a cool white spot beam that reaches far, but doesn't flood the sides much. I added a second light with a wider beam for night rides. The taillight is visible and brightens when I brake, which I like in traffic. Durability-wise, the high-carbon steel frame feels overbuilt, no flex when the motor digs in, and it tracks true under load. Steel can rust if paint is chipped, so I touched up a small scuff to be safe. The battery mount had a tiny bit of play that made a rattle on cobbles. A bit of foam tape under the mount cured it. iKey X6 held up fine in light rain. I don't ride through deep puddles, but splash and drizzle haven't caused any electrical hiccups. Maintenance has been simple. I checked bolts after 100 miles. The headset and crank bolts needed a small snug. I run tire sealant now because fixing a fat rear flat with a hub motor is a chore. The chain shifts fine with the trigger shifter, but I ease off the pedals for a second on shifts so I'm not crunching gears under motor load. That habit makes everything smoother and keeps the drivetrain happier. It's perfect for riders who want reliable power on hills, a stable platform on mixed terrain, and the flexibility of throttle or pedal assist. If you commute on rough streets, hit gravel on weekends, or ride on sand, the EB5 makes that easy. It's also a good fit for bigger riders thanks to the stout frame and 330-pound max rating. Where it's less ideal is any situation where you have to carry it upstairs regularly or need a super nimble, lightweight feel. This bike is substantial from my experience. The few upgrades that make a big difference are a brighter auxiliary headlight, a more comfortable saddle or suspension seat post, and tire sealant or liners. If you love a light lever feel and better modulation, a hydraulic brake upgrade is a nice quality of life move, though the stock mechanicals do the job when adjusted right. I also use walk mode when pushing the bike up ramps. Hold the minus button and it creeps along at a walking pace, which saves my back. In my opinion, the value here is the motor and the platform. The 1000-watt peak punch, the fat tires, and the dual suspension combine to deliver a confident, go-anywhere ride that doesn't ask for much finesse. I kept the top speed at 20 miles per hour to match local rules, and it feels most efficient cruising around 15 to 18 miles per hour. The bike invites you to skip the car for short trips, and it's surprisingly fun to just roll around on paths where skinny tires would chatter your teeth. I'd recommend this for everyday riders who want power and stability over featherweight specs, folks with hills on their route, beach town cruising, snow day errands, and anyone who values a tough, serviceable setup they can tweak over time. If you're in a walk-up apartment or need to hang your bike on a high wall rack daily, think twice about the weight. If you want a solid, capable e-bike that can handle abuse and keep pulling, this checks the box. In conclusion, the HopCycle EB5 feels like a practical workhorse with a playful side. It's not delicate, it's not light, and that's the point. It puts down torque, floats over rough stuff, and stays comfortable on janky streets. The battery is easy to live with. The brakes are dependable with a little attention, and the whole package inspires confidence. I reach for it when I want to get where I'm going with minimal sweat and zero worry about what the road looks like. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to the channel and drop your questions or your own EB5 tips in the comments. Thank you for watching.